Welcome back, everyone. 9 o'clock on your Saturday morning. Thanks for getting your day started with us here on 13 Sunrise. I'm Matthew Foltz alongside Lindsay Monroe, who celebrated a birthday this week.
Yeah, it was nice. It was like texting with Sean Ash and he, wishing me happy birthday. He's like, what you doing? I took a little trip to visit the in-laws down in Florida.
Nice.
I was like, all I want is to sleep in and to be warm. And it was like 90 when we got off the plane down there. Brought some of that tropical air back with me because over the next several days between now and Tuesday, we're going to be really feeling the heat.
Okay, we got to get through this wave of rains this afternoon, today I should say.
Got to bring the moisture too. I think we're going to see rounds of showers and storms between today and really all the way through Wednesday morning. It's going to be a pretty active setup. So I wanted to start with a look at our camera network across central Indiana, where the rain has certainly put a damper on some of these outdoor plans for us, as we've got farmers markets that are now starting to get fired up for the season, as we see in Carmel, over in Connorsville. Temperatures holding steady with that rain moving through right now for the most part in the low to mid 60s. Been watching our radar this morning. It's been quite active as we've had some heavier downpours cross over especially southern portions of central Indiana, all the way from Bloomington now into Greensburg. Heavy rainfall has led to a flash flood, I should say just a flood warning in that zone where 2 to 3 inches of rain has fallen. And then down the I-74 corridor, it's been a very active area so far today. This is your ongoing flood warning that will run through noon, that has now been extended into Decatur and Jennings counties. Bigger picture just showing us just an active setup for today. If you're not getting hit right now with heavy or steady rainfall, it will be moving in shortly. We've got this boundary stalled to our south. It's going to lift northward through the course of the day. So I do anticipate even more rain activity developing back to our west. This is the latest from the Storm Prediction Center, highlighting now this is an update from earlier this morning. Very far portions of the state now under that level 2 of 5 severe risk. So just a heads up for today, not going to be a widespread severe type storm event, but there will be lightning and potentially some damaging wind gusts at times. We'll walk you through that timeline for today, talk about some big improvements in your forecast for Sunday coming up.
All right, we'll see you then, Lindsay. It was a thriller last night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse as the Indiana Fever hosted the Mystics, and this one came down to the wire in overtime. Our Eli Gain was there and has your morning recap.
Well, Caitlin Clark and the entire Fever team very cold from the floor in the first 3 quarters, but CC would awaken in the 4th quarter, helping the Fever erase a 14-point deficit to send this game to overtime in the final seconds. That's where we'll pick it up. Indy down 89-86 with 5 seconds to go, and a perfect play call from Stephanie White that saw Clark trailing, letting it go, and tying the game up. She had 17 points and was 5 of 7 from 3 in the final quarter alone. But Sonia Citron looked to end it with a half-court buzzer beater, but the buzzer sounded just before it left her hands to give us another 5 minutes of action. Clark kept the momentum up, finishing underneath this time, and would go on to finish with a game-high 32 points. But the Mystics were just bullies down low, had 58 points in the paint. Citron, the former Notre Dame star, finished with 30. The Fever kept fighting, down 3 in the waning seconds. Kelsey Mitchell, but off the front of the rim. An electric finish, but the Fever fall despite Clark's surgence in the 4th.
Yeah, I think shots did start falling, and I think we've been letting that dictate how well we play defense too much, which is disappointing for us as a group. We got to be able to defend all the time. So I think that's our biggest area of growth is everyone wants to guard when they're making shots. And for us, that's our biggest room for improvement right now is when things aren't going well, we still got to be able to defend and, find ways to get stops. And we haven't done that very well to this point, the same way it was with our opening game. So opportunity for us to improve in that area.
Another thing of note, Aaliyah Boston had to leave this game in the second half with a lower leg injury. That's all we know, and we'll update you as we figure out that information. As for the Fever, back home here against Seattle on Sunday at 6 o'clock. From Gainbridge Fieldhouse for 13 Sports, I'm Eli Gain.
I hope the Fever can bounce back from that. And remember, we are your local TV home for the Indiana Fever, so you can catch their Sunday night game against the Seattle Storm on our sister station, MeTV. Tip-off for that one is at 6 o'clock, and you can see our Fever broadcast schedule and how to find MeTV right now on our website. It's WTHR.com/fever. Right now, we have an update. A man is now facing at least 10 charges for allegedly shooting an IMPD officer in the arm. We're also learning more about what led up to this shooting. So it happened last Friday night near 62nd and Central in Broad Ripple. Court documents say 24-year-old Victor Garcia Lopez was having dinner with a woman and her landlord that night, and at one point Garcia Lopez proposed they all have sex. Court documents say the woman asked the landlord to leave so she could speak with Garcia Lopez, which led to an argument. Documents later showed that Garcia went to the landlord's home and knocked him out before attacking the woman.
There was a frantic female caller stating her roommate victim and their landlord got into a fight. She stated the male killed the landlord and he took her firearm. EMS will be staging.
Now, right now, Garcia Lopez is facing multiple charges, including attempted murder and intimidation. He's due back in court on Wednesday. And in Madison County, the prosecutor is now announcing he will not file charges against the man who allegedly killed a father and son in Anderson. So the incident happened on Mother's Day weekend. A man told police he was at a home with Cody and Rodney Rail. According to the Madison County prosecutor, Rodney Cummings, the man was making statements about hurting people when that father and son attacked him. The man then stabbed the son, and that's when Cummings says the father ran to get a weapon.
Father came back and attacked him a second time and was killed. He says he was on the ground and was shooting up. The projectiles have not been located. If he had been on top of the deceased, then we'd have a case.
Now, the court's ultimately deciding the man acted in self-defense. Cummings says this case could be reviewed again in the future. Well, right now, an Indianapolis mother says her 12-year-old son will never use Uber again. She claims he was supposed to be headed to school, but ended up across town instead. Our Alex Almanza spoke to the mom, who now wants the driver held accountable.
That mother says her son was supposed to be dropped off at Guyan Creek Middle School, but she says the driver canceled the ride and drove to Fountain Square instead. A school bus that never arrived set off a chain of events Geraldine Alexander says ended with her seeking therapy for her and her son. She doesn't want her face shown, fearing the Uber driver already has her address.
I've been crying since Wednesday because I feel like I could not protect my child.
She says her son's bus never arrived, prompting her to send him to school using Uber for Teens. Alexander says it all seemed fine until she got a notification that the ride had been canceled.
So that prompted me to pull up his location because we have air tags, and I saw that he was nowhere near his school.
Guyan Creek is only a 4-mile drive from her home. Instead, she saw her son 10 miles away from the school, the complete opposite direction. So she says she FaceTimed her son while he was in the car to see what was going on.
Well, he asked the Uber driver, and the Uber driver was like, oh, that's not the address that was requested in the ride, just a bunch of excuses.
Alexander also says the driver didn't even match the profile photo on the account, and she claims there was a language barrier, saying when her son asked where he was taking him, the driver never really responded and kept going, refusing to let him out. She says she called 911, and that's when the driver let him go and drove away.
I've been working with detectives. I have not heard back from Uber. They will not reach out. They will not return my calls.
But Uber did respond to 13 News. A spokesperson for the company told us they have a team of safety experts working around the clock to respond to incidents like this, saying, quote, "We're alarmed by what's been described. We can't imagine how terrifying this experience must have been and are continuing to look into this report. We stand ready to assist the police with their investigation."
I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure whoever's, did this is held accountable.
IMPD is investigating the incident. Meanwhile, Uber's policy requires that underage riders be at least 13 years old. In Indianapolis, Alex Almanza, 13 News.